Tonight, Toronto police charge a man with nearly 24 sex crime charges against children.
They trusted him. He had access to their children.
Police say the allegations were committed in places of worship. Plus,
it's just been nonstop firefighting for the past 10 days now.
a string of fires and a protest nearby. How an Indigenous community is struggling to deal with both events at the same time. And how a movement on an elevator, particularly hopping, could cost you hundreds of dollars. Toronto police have arrested a man accused of sex crimes against children. William Christopher Clavera faces 22 charges, including making child pornography. Police say he attended 2 Filipino places of worship in North York, and it's there they believe some of the assaults occurred and were recorded. As Greg Ross tells us, the allegations are very disturbing.
The suspect in this case is facing more than 20 charges, which of course is shocking for the many people who attend these places of worship. Police revealing today that they have charged a 32-year-old man with numerous sexual abuse charges involving children. William Christopher Clavera is charged after police say that they discovered videos of him sexually assaulting children. And to make matters worse, they say that some of that abuse happened in these places of worship, like this one behind me, called Jesus Reigns Forever International Ministry. Many of the people who are part of this congregation here are from the Filipino community, and they say that their trust was betrayed.
So all the churchgoers are part of a family, and that's how they described it to me. So they trusted him. He had access to their children, and I believe he used this trust, and he broke this trust.
Today I spoke with another man who for 8 years was a member at another place of worship that police allege some of this abuse took place. Pierre Justin Solano was a member at the Word and Life Christian Assembly, which is about 15 minutes away from where I'm standing right now. He says he still has lots of friends there, including some of the families who were directly affected by this. He says, as you can imagine, this has been a roller coaster of emotions for them.
Right now, for sure, the families do feel devastated and shocked for sure. I'm shocked as well, but at the same time, it's like the number one thing within that Christian church is how do we forgive such thing? And right now, it's a hard thing to do because of what he's done.
At this point, police have identified 3 victims, but they are not ruling out the possibility there could be more. Clavera is scheduled to appear in court tomorrow, facing 22 charges. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
A violent robbery and assault that took place in an elevator caught on camera. What we're about to show you could be disturbing to some viewers. Now, this is the security footage of the incident in the Deer Park neighborhood. It happened on the evening of June 1st, inside a condo elevator near St. Clair and Avenue Road. The suspect follows a woman into the elevator, assaults her, and steals her purse. She tries desperately to hang on, but police say her attacker indicates that he's armed. He is described as being in his 30s with a medium build and light brown hair. If you think you know who he is, investigators would like to hear from you. A Toronto family says they were forced to foot the bill for an elevator service call in their building. They don't think they should be on the hook for it and are accusing the condo's property management company of bullying them into paying. The accusation comes after the father and daughter were trapped in an elevator for more than an hour over the winter. Chris Clever has more.
I just got on one foot and did that.
Okay, and how many times roughly did you do that shuffle, as you call it?
I think just once, maybe twice.
This little shuffle is all Carl Song says he did in his building's elevator to cause him to get trapped for an hour with his 2-year-old daughter.
The elevator suddenly stopped and she was starting to freak out a bit, so I got onto the floor with her and started just to play with her a bit and while we wait for help to arrive.
It was a pricey fix, nearly $900. The service technician wrote in the invoice, because they were jumping, the malfunction was caused by user misuse. This technician says elevators are designed so that any hop will halt the machine for safety.
Well, I guess just jumping like that, because
Like
when you're
even that little bit of a jump.
that little bit, because we have things very tightly sound that if our car even goes more than a foot per second more than we want it to, it will cut out like that kind of thing.
But Song showed us the same elevator is out of service so often, it's even down today.
I don't believe that my behavior was abusive towards the elevator, and I don't think that given the frequency of the breakage, I wasn't at fault, and also that they should really look at the root cause.
After refusing to pay the initial invoice they paid this week, after property management told the company if they didn't pay, they'd put a financial lien on their condo, and the couple could have to pay up to $1,000 in legal fees.
And we feel bullied, and the lawyer told us they can lawyer up, and we are just individual people that it's very hard to fight a corporate company.
But some are wondering why the building's existing contract wouldn't cover the emergency service call.
If it's broke, it should be the people that are supposed to maintain the elevator, not the father bouncing up with his little daughter paying for it.
We just wanted to give you the opportunity because we're going to be reporting the story tonight at 6 o'clock.
The property management company is not talking.
Please don't disclose any information to the news.
But many people seem to agree the family should be on the hook.
I mean, you're jumping in an elevator. It's unsafe. You're doing it with your child.
I think it's kind of common sense when you're in an elevator. Why are you jumping up and down?
This is not common sense. This is not common knowledge.
The property management company sent me a statement this evening to say that if a tenant is deemed to have caused damage to the building, it's written in their condo rules that that tenant would have to pay for them. But Carl Song told me that if they don't want people jumping in their elevators, perhaps they should put up signs. Chris Glover, CBC News, Toronto.
We've had a really long winter and spring, so it's really nice to finally get some time outside in the sun. Yeah, it's great.
We only get like 2.5 months of sun a year, so enjoy it while you can, guys. You know.
When it is really hot out, what are some things you guys like to do?
Stay inside. Stay inside for me. That's what I do.
Eat some good food. I don't know. Relax. Something like that.
Jeff Harrington joins us now with the first look at the weather. It is hot out there, Jeff.
You know what? Tomorrow, Magda, will be the hottest day of the year, so prepare for it. Those details coming your way right now. Yeah, we're socked into this heat and humidity, hanging on for another day. There's some rain and storms we need to chat about as well, and then we get into a sunny and comfortable stretch ahead. We made it up to 29 today, still looking for that 30-degree day. We'll get another kick at the can for that tomorrow. But here's that rain that we were talking about, looking like it will start to pivot in. The showers, West End making its way to the downtown core. We'll call it Friday late afternoon, hanging around for a few hours, and then we'll see clearing Friday 8 or 9 o'clock at night. Here's the story now by the numbers. Tonight we're dipping down to 21, a light wind, still very muggy, and a high of 30 tomorrow, Magda, but it will feel about 40.
Wow. All right. Thanks, Jeff.
You got it.
First the DVP, now the Gardiner. Drivers get ready to buckle up for even more traffic this summer. The city is shutting down a major off-ramp leading into the downtown core. And as Angelina King tells us, it's not sitting well with drivers.
During evening rush hour, it's surprisingly smooth sailing getting off the Gardiner onto Yonge Street. But come July 15th, it'll be a different story. The westbound Yonge Bay York off-ramp will be closed for 2 months. The city is resurfacing it and replacing the concrete barrier walls. It'll reopen September 16th, but that's a long wait for drivers.
Well, it's going to be horrible because I actually live right there. So that means I got to get off over like Lakeshore or something like that. And it's going to take forever to get over there now.
Work will be done around the clock, and because of that, another closure. The ramp directly below the work site will be off limits. The Jarvis Street westbound on-ramp will be closed in the evenings for about 2 weeks starting July 16th for safety reasons. This is just the first phase of the city's Gardiner Expressway rehabilitation plan from Jarvis to Cherry Streets.
It's the most critical section for us. It's nearing the end of its service life, and it's really important work, and our interest is to get that work completed as quickly as we can.
It's all part of the city's $2.3 billion project to repair the Gardiner. Expected completion 2026. Drivers coming south are already dealing with lane closures on the DVP between Don Mills and Lawrence thanks to bridge repair. Once they get through that, they'll be met with even more congestion on the Gardiner.
I'm going to have to find another route.
I use this off-ramp all the time. Oh no, that's going to be a major screw-up.
But as we know, with summer comes construction, and the city says to plan different routes ahead of time, leave early, maybe download some of those helpful traffic apps, and most importantly, just be patient. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
A warning from the province's chief coroner. Way more people are dying with carfentanil in their system. I'm Lorenda Redekop. I'll tell you more about the super potent drug. It's used to tranquilize elephants, but now it's being laced with other drugs and used by people. That story coming up.
It's been described as 100 times more potent than fentanyl. Health officials are warning about an increase in carfentanil in the drug supply. Now, this comes as the Moss Park site that helps save people having an overdose marks its one-year anniversary. Lorenda Redekop has more.
They're the life-saving tools Jennifer Coe and her colleagues use all the time to reverse a drug overdose. They use them on average 2 times an hour.
When you see somebody that's overdosed, they look terrible. They look dead. They look gray. They're cold. It's really scary. And then you give them a shot of naloxone, and most of the time, within 2.5 minutes, their color's returned. They're up. They're breathing. They're talking.
It's been a year since the Moss Park overdose prevention site opened indoors, sanctioned by the provincial government. Originally, it started in a tent, unsanctioned. And now a warning from health officials. Ontario's Ministry of Health says more urine samples are coming back that test positive for carfentanil. It's a super potent drug. In the past few months, they've had more than 7 times the amount that they'd had in the past 2 years. The chief coroner put out an alert of his own based on death investigations. 142 carfentanil-connected deaths in the first 4 months of the year, compared to 95 all of last year. They've only done toxicology on about half of the drug-connected deaths, so the number could double.
We know that at the minimum, we've already seen a significant increase in the 4-month period of time. And as I say, as the cases are closed, we may learn that that number is much higher.
For people who work on the ground, the problem isn't just carfentanil, but a drug supply that's toxic.
Occasionally, folks will not clean their scale quite well enough, and a tiny grain will pop into something that isn't supposed to be an opiate. And that can cause somebody with no tolerance to go down really hard.
She says at her site, they don't test what's in drugs people use, but a pilot is being done at 3 other sites. Results are back in a couple hours. Another way to try to save lives. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
The opposition at Queen's Park is calling for an external review of public appointments under the PC government, saying the internal review commissioned by the Premier is not enough.
The Premier gave permission for this to happen, either intentionally or willfully. And he needs to answer for that. The Premier has set the bar. So what the Premier needs to do is he needs to raise the bar. And the only way he's going to do that is by clearing the air.
The province's Integrity Commissioner says he wouldn't be legally obligated to release any findings of the potential probe to the public. He would be limited to just notifying the Premier. This comes after at least 3 government appointments were revealed to have personal ties with Ford's ex-chief of staff, Dean French. And earlier this year, Ron Tavener, longtime family friend of the Fords, bowed out of the post of Commissioner of the OPP due to controversy surrounding his appointment. NDP opposition say the appointment of insiders and friends is a tradition that Canadians are tired of.
They've said no, and they get to say no every month now. And they can decide, again, whether or not to meet or not. So at this point, they'll have to continue to do this every month, and they'll have to decide every month whether or not they want to allow for public transparency and accountability of the public appointments process or not.
The Premier's office would not say if it would release the findings of a potential probe.
This week in 1968, Sunday horse racing came to Ontario.
I see nothing in having it on Sunday, wrong with it having it on Sunday, any more than I do baseball games or football games or hockey games.
Sunday affords a day when most people are off work. It's, I think, an excellent day to go to the races.
I got a feeling from some of the employees I've talked to here that they aren't too keen on the idea. They'd rather be with their families on Sunday. For many, it's the only time they do get to see their families.
Well, that's true, but if if Sunday is going to help the industry, I think we all have to sacrifice something.
For the most part, it was a popular proposal across the province.
I think it's a very good idea, sir, and it should help the community out very much, I believe.
Well, I think it's all right. Why not to do everything else on Sunday?
Sunday racing is all right. It'll keep a lot of these young fellas out of mischief.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Firefighters on the 6 nations of the Grand River say they are being stretched to the limit, but by what they call an unprecedented string of house fires. Some are being investigated as suspicious. Firefighters from other communities are trying to help, but they say a protest happening at 6 nations is making that difficult. Kelda Ewan explains.
Charred remains of burnt-out homes are scattered throughout the 6 Nations Reserve. 5 fires in just over a week. While a few are being investigated as suspicious, 6 Nations Fire Chief Matthew Miller says none are believed to be related. But it's certainly been exhausting.
It's just been non-stop firefighting for the past 10 days now.
A big part of the problem, he says, is this ongoing protest taking place in front of the Reserve's administrative building, which happens to be next to the main fire hall. He says the protest has prevented firefighters from neighboring counties to give them the much-needed help.
Because of the close proximity of the protest to our main station here, their firefighters were uncomfortable with coming here, which is understandable, and we respect that. You can't force someone to be comfortable.
Protesters have been stationed here for 6 weeks now. They say they are protesting new laws that have been put in place by elected council. One of the protesters says he doesn't understand how an unrelated and peaceful demonstration would affect fire services.
We haven't interfered whatsoever with these outside services coming down here, so I don't know why they're putting that spin on us that they should fear us.
How many people want to go and be next to a protest to do anything, whether it's peaceful or whether it's violent?
Miller, though, says they are finally getting some help today.
Today we were actually able to get some relief from some neighboring fire services to come and staff our training academy, which is about 2 concessions away from our headquarters here.
This training academy is about 5 minutes away from the main fire hall and away from the protest. These Brantford firefighters arrived just this morning after work was done to spruce the place up.
Now that we've been able to move some mountains, because it's been very difficult to set up our academy to be like a response station.
And a couple air-conditioned RV campers will be arriving later tonight so that crews in there have a place to sleep and to stay cool. But it's still just a temporary solution. The protesters say they will remain stationed here until elected council meets with them. It's unknown when that will be.
Till that meeting happens, we can't resolve any issues.
Kelda Yoon, CBC News, 6 Nations.
What are you doing today?
I'm eating ice cream with my cousin. Chocolate and vanilla.
Going for a walk, gonna check out the Bathurst and St. Clair and have some water and get some shade.
Oh, we're not beating the heat at all. I'm sweating like crazy.
Yeah.
We're just laying under the sun, and we've given up about defeating the heat entirely.
You can't beat it, so we're just joining it, as they say.
If you can't beat them, join them, exactly.
Yeah.
Jeff is back with another look at the weather. You promised sunny, comfortable weather ahead.
And
when can we expect that?
A few days. It's still a few days out, Magda. First things first, I wanted to show the almanac because this really paints a picture where we should be this time of the year. 26 degrees. Let me show you this, what we got up to. By the way, the record 36, we weren't near that. Here were the highs today. 32 in Windsor, 29 for Toronto. It was a bit cooler in the downtown core. That's because we had an east wind coming off Lake Ontario, so it only ever felt about 32 downtown, but had more inland at Pearson at one point today. 38. So yeah, no surprise, we're hanging on to the heat warning towards southwestern Ontario, northern Ontario, and toward the nation's capital region, and then a special weather statement for a huge chunk of the province. And basically, a special weather statement is just below a heat warning because we're not quite at the criteria for a full-blown heat warning. And for southern areas of Ontario, we need 2 consecutive days of 31 degrees or hotter. So we didn't get it today, and I don't think we'll see it tomorrow. It'll be pretty close, so we are getting there, but not quite into that warning criteria. There's some showers dancing in as we head toward later on Friday afternoon around 4 o'clock, hanging out with us for a few hours, but we get into some clearing by 9 o'clock Friday. Very similar setup to Saturday. I don't think we'll see peaks of sun. Another wave of precipitation around the noon hour, and look at this, some heavier pockets around the Golden Horseshoe Saturday afternoon. That shoves out, and it's going to pave the way for a fantastic Sunday. I'll show you those details in just a bit. Overnight temperatures, 20 degrees in Windsor. We'll look for a bit more cloud cover. Leamington towards Sarnia, about a 40% probability of precipitation tomorrow. The high in Windsor, 31. Taking you to the Golden Horseshoe now, very muggy overnight. 21 downtown, and that's because we've got that heat effect with the pavement and the buildings. Tomorrow's high, 30 degrees, and again, that risk of showers and thunder showers toward the afternoon. Okay, here's where we get the relief. It's after we shake these showers. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, a very nice and comfortable stretch of weather sets up, Magda. Our high is pretty well where they should be this time of the year.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Sure thing.
Well, you heard Jeff. It was a hot one today, with temps definitely feeling like summer. So what's your favorite way to break the heat? Coming up, we dig into a tasty treat that could help you cool down. Stay with us. We'll be right back. On this hot summer day, people use a cold drink or going to the beach to stay cool. Well, how about having some granita? Suresh Das has this scoop on a special type of frozen dessert.
Hi, my name is Carlo Diano, and I'm the owner, along with my wife Lois Kim, of Futura Granita and Gelato on St. Clair West. Our store specializes in granita and gelato. Granita is a very typical Southern Italian product. It's very creamy and it's very refreshing. The lemon granita, which is one of the most quintessential flavors, is made with lemons. So we use the entire lemon, sugar and water and a little bit of lemon juice just to give it some enhanced tang. And once those ingredients get blended up in our mixer, we pour them into our granita machine, and then after 10 minutes, what you get is a really refreshing, wonderful cream, and it's almost like magic.
And that's it for our show tonight. Thanks for watching. For news anytime, head online to cbc.ca/Toronto. I will be right back here tomorrow night at 11, and we'll leave you with some more shots of some people beating the heat today. That looks delicious. Have a great night.